Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. So today we are going to solve the lead code problem product of array except self. Okay, it's problem number 238 and it's one of the top interview 150 question. Okay, so we have given an integer array nums and we have to return an answer such that the the number at ith position is equal to the product of all elements of num except that number itself. Okay, so they have given two examples. So let's take this example. We have four elements 1 2 3 4. So the product of this array is 24, and if you take any index, let's take this index last. So 24 divided by 4 would be 6. 24 divided by 3 would be 8. 24 divided by 2 would be 12. And similarly, 24 divided by 1 would be 24. So we have to first calculate the product of array, like multiply each number of array, and whatever is the resultant product, we have to divide the number at that index and put and whatever is the result, we have to store it at that index. Okay, so this is how we have to do it. But it was a pretty much simple problem if we have to just multiply the numbers in array and then just divide that product with the number at that index, and it would be easy to calculate. But the problem is they have given you must write an algorithm that runs in O of n time and without using division operation. So we cannot use division operation. Okay, so we have to come up with some other techniques so that we can provide so we can find the result element at that index without dividing the number. Okay, so I have already solved the problem. So so the solution is like what we have to do. Let's take an example. So let's say we have an array 2 3 4. Let's calculate the product of the array. So the product of array is 24. Okay, and let's calculate what is the uh, the multiplication of the prefix of array at particular index. For example, let's calculate from left to right. Okay, so at this index there is no element previous to 2, so the product would be 2. At this index 2 and 3 would be 6. Okay, and at this index 4, it would be 2 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 4, which is 24. Okay, so we have calculated the product from left to right, and at each index we are calculating the number multiplied by the previous numbers. Okay, so that is what we have done in the first step. Next step, what we have to do, we have to calculate the same in a similar fashion but from right to left. So now we are going from right, we will multiply 4 with the previous elements. There is no previous element, so it would be 4. Then 3 to 4, 12. Okay, and uh 3 to 4 is 12, and 12 into 2, 24. Okay, so now if you see, if you can look closer, we can now find the element, like the product of array uh except the number itself, like at particular index. Okay, so that is what we have to do. So at this index, okay, so let's say we are uh now calculating the answer. So at index 0, the product should be 3 multiplied by 4. Okay, so 3 multiplied by 4, it should not be multiplied by 2. So what we have to do, you have to simply take the element from if you see, 12 is the product of these two elements, right? So whatever we have calculated from right to left. Okay, so we have to just take the product at the next index, like at the element 0, we will be getting the value 12, because this 12 is the product of the previous numbers, right? Like 3 into 4, 12. So from this we have to pick 12. That is this array we have calculated from right to left. Okay, similarly, let's calculate the last one. So last one will be the product of these two. Okay, so we can simply pick it up from this first one where we have calculated from left to right. So this 24 is nothing but the product of the previous elements, right? So like 2, 3, 4. So what we have to do, we have to we have to not take into the account the last number. We have to just calculate whatever is the product from the previous numbers. So that would be 6, right? So we have to just take from left to right, we have to take the value which is the second last. Okay, so that would be 6. Okay, so we have calculated the first and the last. Okay, the first and the last element we have calculated. One we have picked from right to left, and one we have picked from left to right, the last index. Now for the middle elements, what you have to do, let's imagine this 3. Okay, so the 3 should be product of the whatever the multiplication is from this side and whatever is the multiplication from this side. So except 3, we have to multiply everything, right? So let's imagine there are number before 2. So we have calculated the product until 2, and from this side also we have calculated the product until 4. So we don't have to multiply by 3. So whatever is the number from this side, whatever is the number from this side, we just have to multiply it. Okay, and that would be the result at that index. We don't have to divide. That is a given condition in the problem. So at this index, okay, so this product from left side, like until this 2, we will get from this left to right. Okay, and this product which is after 3, like all the number after 3 is, we will get from the array that we have calculated from right to left. Okay, so here is the 2, the product we have calculated from left to right, and here we have 4. So if you multiply this 2, we would get 8. Okay, and that would be the answer. Okay, because if you see, our resultant product of the whole array is 24, and we divide it by 3, then it would be 8. Okay, so hopefully you have got the idea what we have to do. So now you know how we are calculating the first element, now how we are calculating the last element, how we are calculating the middle elements. So let's look at the solution, and it's the accepted solution. Okay, so first what I have done, I have calculated the product from left to right, basically this array. Okay, this array. Sorry, my bad. We have calculated the product from right to left. Okay, and we have stored it in the separate variable. So if you see, we have created one array similar to nums, but what we are doing, we are storing the product from right to left. So if you see, this index starts from utmost right, and it goes till 0, and whatever. So I have initialized product as 1, because for the first number we have to multiply it by 1. Whatever the result, we are storing in that index, and we are accumulating the product. So that product would be multiplied with the next number, because we have to multiply each number. Okay, so for the next iteration, the product would be the multiplication of the previous 2 numbers. Okay, and that would be again stored in the result. So that way we are calculating our product from right to left. So this is done, and it is stored in the result array. And the product that we have calculated, we have to calculate from left to right, that we are doing here. Again, I have initialized product to 1, because again we have to calculate from the 0th index, and we have to go until last index. So this is done in this for loop. If you see, nums of I is equal to nums of I star product, and whatever is the resultant value, we are again storing it in the product. So in the next iteration, the we are multiplying with the product of the previous 2 numbers. Okay, like the previous values, product of previous values. So this is done, and if you see, in same iteration, I am also calculating the resultant value, because we don't have to. We can iterate. We can have one more for loop, because we have 2 arrays and we have to calculate the result, but we can do that step in this for loop itself. Okay, so we know for 0, we just have to pick the number. So this index, we have to just pick the number with whatever, like whatever is the first value, like the value at the first index, when we have calculated the product from right to left. Okay, from right to left, because at this 0th index, we have to calculate the product of rest of the array and store it here. So the product of the rest of the array would be at index 1. Okay, so if you see, we are storing result of 1. Okay, because we have already the first what is the first step? First step is calculate right to left. So we have already done this, and we have stored it in the new array. Okay, if you see, we have already stored it in the result array. So we are just grabbing the first value, storing it in the 0th index. And similarly for the last index, what we are doing, we are calculating the product of previous numbers, so which we can get from the array that we are calculating from left to right, and we are storing it the second last index. So we are just copying that value and putting it in the last index. So that is what we have done. Okay. So this is a step, and here we are actually storing the middle elements. Okay. So if the if I is not first element in I is not the last element, that is index of I is not 0, because first and last element we have already calculated. We have to just calculate the middle elements now. So the what will be the middle elements? Okay, middle element is nothing but, so how do we get this 8? We got this 8 by multiplying the uh, value at previous index when we calculate from left to right, and the value of next index when we calculate from right to left, like this two. 2 and 4 basically we multiplied that. Okay, so we have multiplied 2 and 4, and how do we get those? We already have the products from right to left in the resultant array. If you see in the result array we have, so we have to get if we are at I position, then we have to get the number from I plus 1, and uh, the result from the I minus 1 index, but from left to right, which we are already calculating here. So what we are doing, we are storing the products from left to right in nums, and from right to left in result. Okay, and so that is what I'm doing. So get the number from left to right, which would be I minus 1, and get the number from right to left, which would be I plus 1, and we are storing it in the result. Okay, so that is how this problem is solved. We just have to calculate the uh, products from right to left and left to right, and then we can get the element at particular index. Okay, so we have solved this problem without using any division operation. Also, it is done, so we are using two for loops, so that is 2 of n, which comes down to O of n only. Okay, so we have also solved this problem with the given constraint. Okay, I would submit this problem, sorry for that, and see if so it's the same it's the same like code, but it took more minutes now, sorry, milliseconds now. The same code which I ran 2 hours before took 2 milliseconds. So it works very well. It beats like 50% of 50% of the user. So this is where our solution lies. Okay, so it's a pretty efficient solution, and if you have any good solution, please put it in the comment section so we can solve it that way as well. Okay, so hope you have understood this. I'm getting better at explaining, so please bear with me. And if you have any better idea like how can I better myself in this like explaining the problem solution, so please also let me know in the comment section. Okay, and we will meet again in the next video. So until then, goodbye.